The kitchen lights flickered softly in the stillness of the night, casting long shadows across the marble floors of the enormous mansion. It was 3 a.m., a time when even the echo of footsteps felt too loud, too intrusive. But Alexander Grant, one of the country's most disciplined billionaires, couldn't sleep. A strange heaviness pressed against his chest, pulling him out of bed and down the quiet hallways. As he approached the kitchen, he heard the faint clatter of dishes, delicate, hurried, almost desperate. When he pushed open the kitchen door, he froze. There, standing over the sink piled high with greasy plates and pots, was a girl no older than 15. Her hair was tied back in a messy ponytail, her uniform sleeves rolled up, hands trembling under the cold water. She wasn't supposed to be here. She wasn't on staff. She was the maid's daughter. If you believe the world needs more kindness, understanding, and second chances, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, Kindness Thread. Your support helps us spread stories that inspire hearts everywhere. Alexander stood there silently, unseen for a moment, watching the girl wipe her eyes with the back of her wrist before scrubbing harder, as if the dishes were to blame for whatever pain she carried. The mansion's kitchen, usually bustling with staff during the day, felt painfully empty around her. She seemed so small, swallowed by the vastness of the room. He noticed the faint redness around her eyes, the exhaustion painted across her face, and the way her fingers moved stiffly, as though she had been washing dishes for hours. A strange mix of confusion and concern filled him. The girl, Alina, should have been at home asleep, preparing for school the next morning. Instead, she was here, struggling alone in the middle of the night. In the back of his mind, memories stirred, memories he preferred to bury. He knew what it felt like to be young, scared, and burdened beyond one's years. His own childhood had been filled with hardships before fortune eventually found him. He stepped closer, finally making his presence known, and Alina jolted upright, startled and embarrassed. She avoided his eyes instantly, as though she feared she had committed an unforgivable act. Alexander noticed her hesitation, the way her hands immediately moved to hide a torn part of her uniform sleeve, the way she tried to stand taller despite her exhaustion. She didn't want to look weak. She didn't want pity. She didn't know she was breaking his heart. The next morning, with her mother too nervous to speak, Alexander called Alina into his office. She walked in slowly, clutching the edge of her worn-out school bag. She looked thinner in the daylight, her cheeks slightly hollow, her fingers fidgeting. Her eyes darted around his luxurious office, and it became painfully clear that this world was far from the one she was used to. When he asked her gently why she had been washing dishes at 3 a.m., she hesitated for a long time, biting her lip, before finally whispering that she didn't want her mother to lose her job. Apparently, her mother had been struggling recently, working longer hours, doing extra tasks, barely keeping up. Alina had noticed her mother coming home each night exhausted, almost limping from the pain in her back. She knew the mansion's staff rotation was strict. Mistakes were not tolerated. So Alina had decided to secretly help her mother by coming in late at night to finish whatever work remained. Alexander listened quietly, but she wasn't done. When he asked why she had missed school so often lately, her voice cracked. She said she had been helping her mother in the mornings too and sometimes didn't have bus fare. She didn't want to ask for help. She didn't want to trouble anyone. She simply believed it was her responsibility. And then she said the sentence that stayed with Alexander for days, "I just didn't want her to get replaced. We can't survive if she loses this job." Her words held no anger, only worry. Deep, endless worry. Listening to her, Alexander felt something shift inside him. He had spent years building an empire, rising to heights few could dream of, yet here, in front of him, stood a child carrying burdens no child should carry. A child who believed silent suffering was her duty. He recognized the look in her eyes. It was the same one he'd once had when life had been cruel before it became generous. That familiar ache in his chest returned, stronger than before. That evening, he quietly asked the staff about Alina and her mother. What he learned made his heart sink further. Her mother, Maria, was one of the kindest workers but had been struggling with a medical condition she had been hiding for months. Money was scarce, and treatment was expensive. Maria had been pushing herself far beyond her limits until her teenage daughter stepped in to carry the load with her. No complaints, no demands, just love and sacrifice. For the next few days, Alexander found himself watching the mother and daughter more closely, noticing every detail he had overlooked before, the tired steps, the quiet resilience, the forced smiles. Something awakened inside him, a reminder of the humanity often lost in the world of wealth and power. One morning, he made a life-changing decision. Instead of firing Maria, he called her into his office and informed her that she would be given paid medical leave until she recovered fully. She broke down instantly, unable to believe such kindness existed for someone like her. Then he turned to Alina and told her she would no longer need to come to the mansion for any chores. Instead, she would be receiving a full scholarship, school fees, supplies, transportation, everything. Alina's eyes widened in disbelief, tears spilling freely as she tried to speak, but words failed her. Alexander didn't stop there. He arranged for Maria to see a specialist, and within weeks, her health began to improve. He ensured their home was safe, repaired, and comfortable. Alina, freed from emotional and financial burdens, returned to school, not as the tired, struggling girl she had been, but with newfound hope glowing in her eyes. Teachers noticed the change immediately. Her grades climbed. Her confidence grew. She even began to dream about a future she had once believed impossible. Months passed, and Alexander often found himself reflecting on that night in the kitchen. He realized that sometimes the greatest lessons come not from boardrooms or success, but from the quiet, hidden struggles of everyday people. Alina's story reminded him of the value of compassion, how a single act of kindness could change the trajectory of someone's entire life. If this story has touched your heart in any way, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Thread. Your engagement helps us continue sharing powerful, life-changing stories. Before we end, we have a special request. Comment below what this story meant to you. Your words might inspire someone else today. And as Alina walked into her future with her mother by her side, both healthier and happier than ever, Alexander realized something profound. Sometimes, the most meaningful wealth a person can give isn't money, it's hope.